Volkswagen just announced the world premiere of the new Id.7 Tourer GTX and more importantly the new Id.3 GTX. About the Id.3 there were so many rumors and it has been a while, and I was so excited that maybe the GTX version of the Id.3 would be an all-wheel drive, but very fast we were shut down. It's gonna be a rear-wheel drive, and then there were talks that it will only be the 210 kilowatt motor that my Id.7 has as well. But there's even more, because we get 326 horsepower in the Id.3 GTX Performance. If you want to follow me on Instagram, BatteryLife1, and if you want to support the channel, there's a Patreon link in the description below, and here on YouTube there's channel membership. Thank you very much. Let's start with the Id.7 Tourer GTX, and what we get the interior size-wise is exactly the same like the normal Tourer that I showed you a week ago, but what we get are all accents that the GTX versions, all of the GTX versions had. Also special colors that you don't get in the normal cars. And motor-wise, we get the same as in Id.4, Id.5 GTX, the 210 kilowatt motor, APP 550 in the rear. That's very efficient. And in the front, we get another 40 kilowatt motor for a combined power of 250 kilowatt, which is 340 horsepower. And this propels our Tourer very fast from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. It doesn't say anything about the number in the press briefing here, but I'm guessing it will be like Id.4, Id.5 under 6 seconds, which is pretty good. The range is very similar to the normal Tourer. You have to think that the front motor is not doing anything when you don't push the car, so when you drive a constant speed or if you just don't accelerate very hard, the front motor is not doing anything, so it's just the rear motor. And then you get very similar consumption than to the normal car, because the only difference is then more weight that you have in the front, and that won't affect this very much. So I think it will be again around 600 kilometers of WLTP range. And that is very nice. Of course, if you floor it, that's a different world, and then you will have higher consumption and way less range, and that's very normal. I have seen that in an Id.4, Id.5 GTX as well. Battery is the same as in the normal Tourer. You can either have the 82 kilowatt hour battery, usable 77 like I have in my Id.7, or later, I don't even know when, and I hope at some point, because I'm very interested, especially in the price difference with the big battery. The Pro S, Id.7 Tourer and the GTX can have that too. The bigger battery, 91 kilowatt hours, 86 kilowatt hours can be used. So 9 kilowatt hours more usable, which should give the normal Id.7 around 700 kilometers, and the Tourer I guess a few percent less, and the GTX another percent less. So let's say 660, 665, I'm guessing that. The looks have changed a lot with the GTX. We have a special color, like I said before. This King's Red is only available with the GTX. We get this front grille that looks very nice. We have new daytime driving lights that the other cars, Id.7 Tourer, normal Id.7 won't be having. And also in the rear we have a different diffuser. And very important, I already said that in the Tourer video, the rear logo is illuminated in red, but now the front logo is illuminated as well. I always thought it doesn't work, it's not allowed, but I'm guessing they changed the law or something. I like that, I want that too. I'm always early and then I don't get the stuff. But it looks nice. I would like that front logo illuminated and the rear logo illuminated as well. It's a nice color, this King's Red. There will also be new 20-inch wheels with the Tourer, the same as with the Id.3. We're going to see later, in black or in silver as they are here. And the other difference is then the interior. We have special seats, and we also have special markings that are more in red for the sporty look for the GTX. We have the GTX logo on the steering wheel, and we have different material in the doors and everything. We will see if there will be a bright interior as well as for my Id.7, or it will all be dark. As I remember, in the Id.5 GTX that I had was also very, very dark. I don't think there was a light interior but there will be more seats, not just the normal seats, sport seats, but still with all the function that the normal Id.7 seats have as well. And in the Tourer we have the 15-inch screen, the same as in my Id.7. The interior is function-wise exactly the same, it's just a bit of a different design with the red stitching, and it looks pretty neat. And also the seats have the GTX logo in there, not ID that I have, for example. As the normal Tourer, in the GTX you also will get the new wellness app, and that ChatGPT can be asked with your voice command. The wellness app is something in your car, in your infotainment system. With one button you can control numerous things. So for example, if you set it on relaxation or something, then the seat massage will start, the climate will do a certain thing, the ambient light will do a certain thing, and there's music coming out of the speakers to make you all calm and relaxed while charging, for example. Charging, by the way, is also the same as in Id.7, Id.7 Tourer and Id.7 GTX. It's all the same. They say peak 175 for the smaller battery and 200 kilowatt peak for the bigger battery. But I experienced in my Id.7 with the small battery a peak of 192 in perfect conditions. So I'm expecting with the big battery 210, 215, something like that. But now let's get to the star of the show, to the Id.3 GTX. And yes, there are more changes than I thought. Like I said, we all thought there's gonna be the 210 kilowatt motor, and it's gonna be in there with 286 horsepower. But there's also gonna be an Id.3 GTX performance version where this motor will produce 240 kilowatt, 326 horsepower. And we already seen that Cupra has announced a Cupra Born with the exact same specs. So it will also gonna be 210 and 240 kilowatt. So this is awesome. This gives it an acceleration, so the performance model, of 5.6 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, which is awesome. And you have to think, the numbers I'm talking about are with the big battery, and the battery is different. This battery now is not the 77 kilowatt hour battery, it now has 2 kilowatt hours more. Gross capacity is 84 kilowatt hours and 79 kilowatt hours can be used. So it's a heavy car, but it accelerates pretty good, so I'm very excited. With all these numbers, Volkswagen says that the GTX will achieve 600 kilometers of range. I'm guessing this is not the performance, and I don't know if the performance, so the motor, is totally different or just the software peak. So if you floor it, then you get the 240, but if you drive normal, it's exactly the same as in the normal GTX. I don't know that exactly, we will see when it comes out, but I'm expecting it's the same motor, just software peaked, so there's no difference. But that's awesome. The Id.3 has even more new features. Again, as with the Id.7 Tourer GTX, it's a long name, huh? The King's Red only reserved for the GTX model. It doesn't look like it's that much lower, so I don't think they gave it a different suspension that's more sporty. And you have a new DCC, dynamic chassis control, which can also be selected for a more sporty drive or more comfort. It's different than in the other cars. You also get the new daytime driving lights with the triangle form and the new 20-inch wheels, which can be silver and black. We have the same front grille and we have the rear diffuser, the same as in the Id.7 Tourer GTX. What I don't see is that any of the logo is illuminated. It doesn't mean in the front or in the rear. I don't think they are. Interior is the same, we have red stitching and the GTX logo in the steering wheel. What is totally different though to the old Id.3 is that now the gear change is like in the Id.7 and also in the new Id.4, Id.5 with the new hardware for ID software 4.0. We have a 12.9 inch screen. I always say 12, then people correct me, it's 13, so let's say 12.9. So it's not as big as in the Id.7, but it's still bigger than it was before. 10 and then 12, I don't know what I had. I don't know, but small. And so the gear change is not on the cockpit, on the instrument cluster. It's now an extra stalk like it is in my Id.7, but you still get a bigger cockpit than I have in my Id.7, so you still get your driving data in the cockpit where I couldn't have that, but you can still have a head-up display, I'm sure, where you can have everything in your head-up display that I have as well. It looks stunning, it looks really cool inside and outside with the bigger battery and the extra performance. That's very nice. I'm still sad that it's not an all-wheel drive, I would like that, but you can have everything. It also, you can have the new sport seats. They look very similar to the older sport seats, and you have the GTX logo in this middle hole behind your neck. Charging, it still says peak 175 kilowatt, 10 to 80% in 26 minutes. What's very interesting is the top speed. In the normal Id.3 you have 160 kilometers an hour. In the GTX now we have 180. And in the GTX Performance, 200. I know Tesla people are saying, what? 200? What slowest thing? What do you want with that? I know, but as an ID driver who drove a top speed of 160 for 3 years, and now in my Id.7 180, which I do a lot, by the way, it's so comfy and stable, it's fine. But now in the Id.3 GTX Performance 200, we have to test that out, how that, if that feels okay, or if it gets a bit unstable at that speed. We'll see. I hope I can drive it very soon. Software wise, like I said, ID Software 4.0 and already the new version, the same as in the Tourer. You get the ChatGPT and the Wellness app, and the Id.3 GTX will be the first car who gets the remote parking, so the remote control driving it with your app. So in the beginning I think they plan to do an extra app, but now I think it will be included in the normal Volkswagen app, where when you are close to the car you can turn it on and then the car can drive into a parking spot, the same as when you are in the car and say please park my car with Park Assist Plus. But now we can do it from outside of the car. And the Id.3 GTX should be the first car to do that. I was hoping that my Id.7 will get this feature soon with an update, but I guess not. We can have 5 colors with the Id.3 GTX. It can be this King's Red Metallic, then we have Moonstone Gray, what this Grenadilla Black Metallic, Glacier White Metallic, and Scale Silver Metallic. So red, gray, black, white or silver. I always give it so fancy names. Yeah, but that will be a really cool car. I can't wait to drive the Performance to see how that feels like. It will be the most powerful ID ever. Oh, so on the road there was an Id.7 tuning thing with 544 horsepower or so. But hello, this is not, or even more. I can't remember, it was a lot. But this was just an experiment, what you can do. This will be a version that everyone can buy. And it will be interesting what the cost of this thing, I'm guessing, it, and also how it rides. So I think it will be a bit sportier, and I have to see if we like it. But that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.